Hello everyone. We are starting slightly late today because the sheep sent us on quite the adventure. Here's Lauren.
Hello. Hey guys. Now you can have leaves. Come on over here.
We'll give everyone a second to
Hey.
tune in.
Christopher. Come get
We're
leaves.
excited to have you all joining us.
Baby, would you like leaves? Hey, buddy. I can always count on Stuart. Stuart gets all the leaves to himself, I guess. Well, yes, that was an adventure. So, hello again, everybody. Lauren and Caden here from Catskill Animal Sanctuary. And yes, the animals of the day were going to be the sheep. And as Caden and I were getting set up for today's video, we saw them all in one direction. And then they all decided, you know what? I don't want to go that way. We're actually going to go the other way. And then some of us are going to go this way, and then some of us are going to go that way. And then we're going to stop and snack for a little bit. And it was just a whole thing. I was trying to figure out where everybody was going. But now we've got some of our sheep friends here. We've got, of course, Stuart, who I can always count on to want to hang out. Isn't that, buddy? Isn't that right? Even if I have to bribe you with willow leaves. Good boy. And then I don't know who else we can see in the background. Davy's over there with probably Atticus. Is that Atticus over there? And then I don't know if we can see anyone else in the background, but
Lena is having a good scratch on that TV stand. It's just perfect height for her bum.
Christopher is staring at us. Very forlornly, I feel like. Christopher, you can come join us.
Oh, he stopped staring, but he's that guy on the far left there. And then in the middle is our beloved Laverne, between Lena's bum scratching and Christopher's returning.
Oh my gosh,
to
look at her
the
go.
grass.
Lena, I'd be happy to help you with that. Tell her I can help you.
He's like, you can't help her. You gotta help me.
I know. See, the thing is, I do have two hands. You know that, right, buddy? One can be for you, and one can be for Lena. We can share.
We got a question coming in about
Already, people are on it today. Nice.
how are the pigeons in the main barn doing?
Oh, gosh. Who's that question from?
Rock Dove.
Oh, well, what an appropriate name to be asking that question. Yes, as you may have noticed on some of our virtual programs, you see a lot of pigeons around. Oh, Stuart's going to go say hi to Caden and his camera. I'm sorry, apparently I wasn't good enough.
Let's see if we can show what Stewie is up to here.
I'm going to see real quick if I can get anyone else's attention while you're saying a good close hello to Stuart.
There you go, Stewie. I guess he's just going to bother the whole camera, though, so we'll just switch it back to Lauren.
Oh. That's a good girl, Lena. Come here. Oh, Seneca and Lena are here. Nope, Lena changed her mind. Doesn't go that way. I don't know, Caden.
We are having some sheep trouble.
This is
at
like
the
not
moment.
normally what happens with the sheep, but that's okay.
Thank you
Stuart,
for
please
pushing
don't
the
knock
camera over, Stewie.
Buddy, please don't knock the camera over. Well, it is what it is.
You're about to get some Nina attention.
Oh, my little one's coming. Oh, maybe Christopher's coming. But you know, that's the thing here at the sanctuary is the animals are free to choose what they want to do. And what they want to do doesn't always line up with what we would like. So, it's all good. Right, Nina? No, you decided against the leaves and you're going to eat the grass. That's also a good call. Okay, bye. Buddy, come here. Here comes Christopher. Come, buddy. But yes, the pigeons. Yeah, we have a lot of pigeons right now. They're doing great. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Stuart. Oh, I bet we have a nice Stuart bum on the camera.
We have a nice Stuart butt. Oh, his face is showing too, though.
Oh.
And Christopher, we've got a great shot of Christopher.
Hey,
as well.
Christopher.
Our sweet, sweet, gentle guy.
My good boy. Here, you can go ahead. You can eat it. There you go. You got it, buddy. Good boy. Oh, you're also peeing. That's nice. Anyway, now that all that stuff is out of the way. The reason we have chosen to hang out with the sheep today, other than that they are just like wonderful, perfect animals, because I mean, look at him. Is he not the most perfect creature you've ever seen?
Lauren is 100% biased.
No!
But we do tend to agree here. The sheep are perfect.
But also as part of our Petunia's Pledge. Caden, have you heard about Petunia's Pledge?
No, Lauren. I'm really bad at keeping up on what we're doing here at my workplace. Can you tell us about it?
Oh my gosh. Well, the other day on October 1st was World Vegetarian Day, and then in a couple weeks it's going to be World Vegan Day. So in the time in between, we are doing Petunia's Pledge, and Petunia is a super adorable little hen. She actually is. Oh, she lives over there now, right? She moved. And she is the star of our pledge here for folks who are maybe vegetarian and are interested in going vegan to get more information, get support on that. Or anyone who is interested in exploring, like, you know, living free of harm to animals, really. So throughout this month of October, we are going to be highlighting a few different animals that maybe represent some of the less obvious, sometimes, ways that animals are harmed for things that humans use. So that's how we end up with the sheep today. A sheep today. I can always count on Christopher. But yes, so if you have questions about sheep or about the animals here at the sanctuary, definitely feel free to chime in. By the way, Caden, you got a couple little visitors walking up behind you.
I do have some visitors walking up behind me, so we may have an appearance shortly of some chicken friends coming through on camera.
Hey,
I think they are headed towards Lauren at the moment.
What's up?
But
Hi, Sebastian. So we have Sebastian as this colorful
There's
little rooster who's
Sebastian.
just come by.
and then we've got Sidra the white hen and Pilar the brown hen.
And they have places to be, it looks like.
So if you have questions about the sheep that you want answered, ask away and we will do our best to answer those for you. And also, in the meantime, while we give folks a chance to ask any questions they have, do you want to, we've linked the Petunia's Pledge link in the comments, but do you want to tell us about our sponsors and the bonuses of joining Petunia's Pledge, Lauren?
Oh my gosh, yes, there's a lot of cool stuff. We will be sending you information throughout the month. Not like too much, we're not going to spam you or anything, so don't worry about that. But information about the animals and about different choices that you can make. Our sponsors include, let's see, Riverdale down in Brooklyn, which is a cheese, vegan cheese business. Vegan wines run by the lovely Francis. And just, they do a wonderful job because, did you know not all wines are vegan? Interesting. Maybe that's a topic for another day, I don't know. And also Treeline Cheeses, which is based right up here in the Hudson Valley, are all our sponsors for this. So you should definitely check them out too. They make a lot of really great things there. And yes, so there's just a lot going on. And in order to provide you all with some more information, Christopher, come back. Come back. Well, as the resident knitter here at the sanctuary, I was going to talk about some of the things relating to, he's so strong, to fibers and fiber art. So of course I was like, how much knitwear can I wear today that I've made? So I have a whole bunch. So what I would like to ask, as I talk for a little bit, is for all of you who are watching to write in the comments different fibers that you can think of, regardless of the source. So like, most people are probably going to think of wool. right off the bat. Wool comes from sheep. But there are a number of other fibers that come from plants, that come from animals, that are synthetically derived, and I'd just love to see kind of what one's folks are aware of. So I myself have been knitting for about 2.5 years now, and so I've been knitting while being vegan, and for the longest time after I went vegan, I was like, okay, well, I guess I can't really do knit stuff because that all involves animal products, right? Because it's all like wool, and wool comes from a sheep, so I guess that's that. But that's not true. There's actually a whole bunch of all sorts of different non-animal based fibers. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. Kaden, did the folks watching have any thoughts on fibers that they might know, like wool or anything else?
Sean says flax.
So flax and linen, yeah,
Um,
as a plant.
I'm not sure if, Sean, when you said carbon, I'm not sure if you meant carbon fiber or if that was in response to something else. Hemp.
Hemp, yep, that's a good one.
Sean's listed all of the things.
Oh,
Thank you,
Sean, give other people a chance too, okay? You know, give other people a chance. And some of them you might be able to look and see. You might be wearing some of them right now. Like this is a cotton shirt that I have on. These are both cotton. This is acrylic. These are acrylic.
Oh, Sean says yes, carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber. I'm not actually sure what we mean by that. I would love to know some more about that. Sweetie, do you want to come closer to the camera so people can admire your face?
Christopher is gazing longingly at the rest of his herd, which has wandered entirely to the edge of the property.
Oh yeah,
They went from one edge right before we started to the other and have decided that they are not going to be the stars of our show today.
Except for Laverne and Shirley. I don't know if we see Laverne behind me over there.
And then we
And
see...
then Shirley's over there.
Yeah.
So I started knitting. So I've never actually knit with any kind of like animal fiber before. And I can tell you a little bit about my journey and why I've chosen to make those choices. That's a terrible sentence. My apologies. Things that go on with sheep, because again, it's not always obvious the things that like animals might go through or the environmental impacts of different things might not always be obvious, and you might just think like, oh yeah, well, sheep grow hair and then we can just like cut the hair off and then turn it into stuff. Like, okay, like I get my hair cut, that's fine. There is more to it than that. Now I will say my buddy Christopher here, let me scooch over a little bit. Hey, you look like you want to take a nap, my dear. Is it nap time? I think it might be nap time. Baby. You just had lunch a little bit ago, huh? Is this post-lunch nap time? Hi. Good boy.
We've got some other thoughts, though, by the way, on other fibers. So Denise suggested milkweed, seeds, nettles, rayon, and flax.
Nice.
And then Sabrina just said that I've been crocheting ear savers for essential workers with cotton yarn.
Oh, nice. That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Very cool. Yeah. I mean, I think we've hit all the big plant yarns, your cottons, your hemps, your wools. Some of the more specialized stuff like the nettles or the milkweed fibers. That's actually stuff that I've never gotten my hands on yet, but hopefully I will at some point. Oh, I think so Christopher is a sheep. Sometimes he gets confused for a goat. But a way to tell most of the time if you're looking at a sheep or a goat, this doesn't work 100% of the time, but if you have a look at the tail, if the tail just hangs down, you're probably looking at a sheep, and if it goes kind of like out or up, you're probably looking at a goat. So, just for reference. And he is what might be called like a hair sheep. So Christopher's hair, he will shed by himself in the springtime. Which of course you want more pets. Yes, you do. which of course he's not going to shed right now because it's starting to get cold. So he's going to be growing out his winter coat, and then when next year, next spring comes around, he'll shed it all off. And it's, from my perspective, deeply satisfying to help him. Am I right, Kaden? You can just kind of grab it by the fistfuls and it just kind of comes off. And I will say Christopher enjoys it when you do that, because Christopher, can we get a wiggle dance? Oh, well, you're also chewing, so maybe no wiggle dance. Oh, wait, here it is. He does his little wiggle dance where he kind of does a little lip and he kind of wiggles his head. That's his, like, way of saying, I'm enjoying the thing that you're doing. So when you're messing around with his hair, he does do the wiggle dance, so it's not like it's hurting him or he doesn't like it. And, if he walks away, then of course we stop, because he said that's enough, and so then we, let him be, of course. But that, this whole shedding that he does is not the same for most domesticated sheep. So, like, I don't know how well we can see the girls behind us, but their hair is very, very different. Christopher's is kind of straight and kind of short, while... You doing a leg thing? What are you doing, buddy? I am petting you. So the girls in the back, their hair is much more, like, curly and dense. And those are the types of sheep that are raised generally for wool production, and do have to be shorn, because actually humans have bred those type of sheep, and many others, there's a lot of different types of sheep that people have bred, have been bred not to shed their hair. So when spring comes around, Christopher's shedding. Stuart, who we saw at the beginning, he will also shed his hair on his own, but a bunch of the other ones will not. And that stuff is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. So as one might imagine, as the temperature starts going up, we get into summer, that would be extremely unpleasant to be wearing, like this much hair on your body. Oh, sorry, buddy, I just whooped you in the nose. I'm sorry. So majestic. And it's just not going to come off, really. So it's actually, in that case, really dangerous for them to still have their hair on, because they will get, overheated, and that's just like us. If we get overheated, we get heat stroke or whatever, that's extremely dangerous for humans. And with the sheep, even, like, I don't know how well we can see Shirley's face, the wool will grow, like, over her eyes, and it'll get all over her face, and then so they become really, like, unable to see and everything. So, I mean, if a sheep, now, we've sort of created this problem. It's kind of, is a problem that we've created, really. We've created the problem of sheep who do not shed. So, like, here at the sanctuary, question we get asked a lot, do you shear the sheep? And the answer is, some of them. So, like, Christopher, no, he's pretty good. We might need to give him a little bit of a trim to help fix some of the hair if it's not coming off, and it starts getting really warm, but for the most part, he's good on his own. While Laverne and Shirley in the back over there, those type of sheep, like Scout, like Micah, like Zeke, Atticus, some of the other ones, who you may have seen on some of our other virtual programs, we do have to shear them, and it is not a fun time. So this year, the shearing, we do about once a year in, like, early May, and it's not a good time for them. Poor Scout, oh my gosh. So if you've seen Scout before, if you've met Scout before, she's the one with, like, the darker legs and the darker face. Total sweetheart, loves people, loves attention, gets bratty when she doesn't get enough attention. When she was shorn, and, then the shearer let her up, she ran out of the barn. This is going on in the main barn. She ran out, and for, like, 2 hours, just ran around screaming. Like, ran all over the sanctuary, just screaming. And it's not like she had gotten hurt or anything. It was just a really, really stressful thing for her. And, like, the shearer who we work with is super careful about everything, again, because, again, we don't want to hurt our friends. Of course not. But even at a sanctuary like this, even with someone who, we make sure they do it really carefully, we're there with them. Even so, it's extremely stressful for them to be shorn. And that's here at a sanctuary. When we take that and we extend it out into like sheep farms where they're being farmed for their hair, then we get into a lot of other issues that are not necessarily apparent right at first. We get into issues of the sheep having their tails cut off. I know I just said the thing about the tail sign, a goat from a sheep. On farms and all, they will have their tails cut off when they're very young without any like painkillers or anything, so that the tails won't get in the way of being able to like shear the sheep later on. The males would be castrated, same thing, no painkillers, no nothing for them. They aren't always, of course, they're always kept in the best conditions, and when shearing time does come around, a lot of times they end up being shorn too early. So they do need their winter coat in the wintertime, right? That's how they're going to keep warm in the winter. So they do need it when it's cold. But a lot of sheep on different farms will end up being shorn too early when it's still cold. And they can get things like pneumonia if they get too cold, and they'll die from it. And I think that's about in Australia, which is a big sheep country in Australia. At least 1 million sheep die every year of being shorn too early. And then for the rest of them, the ones who are raised for wool are also generally eaten in the end. That like they are still killed to be eaten. And again, none of that is apparent. When you're looking at a ball of yarn on a shelf, none of that you don't see any of that. And that's one of the things with so many of these different like products that come from animals. When you look at eggs on a shelf, you don't see chickens in one giant warehouse type barn by the hundreds of thousands. When you look at a carton of milk, you don't see little calves being taken away from their moms. But these sorts of things, they are going on. So that's why, as a knitter, I was vegan before I was a knitter, but I continue to focus on the plant and occasionally synthetic yarns in order to avoid those different issues. And I want to pause if we have any questions for right now.
Anything
folks want to share?
We don't have any questions yet. We did have a little while back, Pam said that until my first visit to Catskill, I didn't even know that sheep had those long tails.
Oh my gosh, Pam, that's right. Because if you never see them with tails, because the tails are always cut off, then yeah, your brain's never gonna know that, like, of course, like sheep have tails.
And the interesting thing is, I've heard a story from somebody who was working at, or actually at the time they were interning at a different farmed animal sanctuary, where one of the sheep who had tails had to go to the vet, and they brought them to a large vet hospital that is used to treating a lot of farmed animals for farmers. And one of the vet students at this vet hospital said, "I forgot how ugly sheep are when they have their tails," which kind of did twofold things. It really highlighted that, it is so uncommon for somebody who even works with hundreds upon thousands of sheep to ever see them with their tails, but also that we oftentimes don't sort of respect their right to, remain whole beings.
Oh my God.
And it's so commonplace that this is something that may just roll off of our tongues, but we're so thankful for everyone who is helping us give these guys a good safe home.
Yeah, and Christopher, you have a cute little butt with your tail. You got a cute butt. Something else I wanted to get into real quick, because I know we got a late start, so that's kind of maybe messing up the time a little bit here, is also on the environmental side of things, because, again, so many things are not apparent at first glance. So, like, when you look at wool, okay, so wool when it comes up the sheep, it's a natural fiber, so it, like, biodegrades and stuff, and I know people will give different fibers, criticize certain fiber types for not biodegrading. For example, acrylics. are all like petroleum and plastic based. So like, no, those aren't going to biodegrade because it's plastic based. Though I will say it's not the vegan knitters who are the ones keeping the acrylic companies in business. Knitters of all sorts do use acrylic yarn. Something to keep in mind. As far as raising sheep for food, like by weight, sheep, not by weight, that's a better way to say that. Like the raising of sheep for humans to eat them is actually one of the most environmentally like intensive things that there is, like compared to any other farmed animal industry, in terms of the carbon produced, in terms of the water use, the land use, all this kind of stuff. It's extremely intensive in that way. And not all of it is going to biodegrade. If anyone in the knitting community is familiar with superwash, it's wool, like superwash merino. Merino is a type of sheep. It's wool that's been treated with different like chlorinated chemicals and things. And then it's no longer biodegradable, so it produces there's all this chemical runoff that comes from that. And when you really look at the full, like, from the start, for wool, like from the start of what food are the sheep eating, what's going on with the sheep, where does it get transported, is it dyed, this and that, how does it get made into something, wool is actually really not that great for the environment, and that's definitely something I encourage folks to look into on your own, because we are running out of time.
Just gonna real quick though, hold on.
Yes.
Shirley's having a good scratch on the bench over there.
Oh my gosh.
Just really getting in there under that wool. You gotta put all your weight into it to get that good scratch.
And we will not offer Shirley help with that, because Shirley is extremely shy. Though also on Shirley, you can see she does not have her tail.
Yes.
Her little butt.
She is certainly throwing her weight into that one. Okay, back to you, Lauren.
Oh my gosh, I'm just watching Shirley. She's just being really adorable. But yeah, so that's kind of my fiber thing. There are so many different non-animal based fibers that you can find out there. For example, even as someone was saying earlier on, things like nettles and milkweed fibers are things that I haven't even gotten my hands on, and I would love to. But really the number one place that I recommend for people to get yarn is thrift stores. Not this, but this here, my little hand mitts that I had on earlier, is all thrifted yarn. It happens to be acrylic, but I mean, if it's at the thrift store, it already exists. I'm not buying new stuff. You can get all kinds of cool stuff at thrift stores. It does get a little more difficult if you're looking at like sweater quantities of yarn, but there's a lot of really interesting stuff that you can find. Check in with your local yarn stores. Look things up online, and I will say that if you are going to knit things with animal fibers, really think about where that's coming from and try to talk to people about it. Like, this is always the most important things that I tell people you should consider if you're like, well, I really want to get wool from this one farm that looks, pretty legit. Doesn't look like anything bad is happening there. Questions to ask. Where do you get the sheep from? What happened, like, how long do the sheep live? How old do they get? Do you breed the sheep here? And what happens when the sheep get old? Those are really the big things, because, if the sheep are still being killed when they're very young, like, 5 or something years old, my buddy Christopher is going to be 14 this year. So much of a life is lost when they're killed that early. But yeah, those are just some things to keep in mind. And am I going to get played off?
Well, I was going to say that it is important to note, and this is something that we often don't quite touch on, is that lamb is functionally a byproduct of the wool industry. So the consumption of lamb's flesh is often these excess babies from wool farms and sheep breeding farms, because the sheep are among the longer-lived farmed animals. They're one of the few farmed animals where a significant number of them get to live to adulthood, which is not to say that they have a full long life the way they would at a sanctuary. But the flocks don't need to be replenished in the same quantity. So a lot of times these excess babies are sold off as lamb. It's an extra income stream, and it's also a way of keeping the male to female ratio in a herd or a flock not 1-to-1, but to have far fewer males who can kind of affect the herd dynamics. So you're also more likely to see male sheep being sold as lamb's flesh, just as we see these byproducts from the dairy industry. Christopher just looks into the camera like he's on The Office. This is nonsense.
I know, buddy. I know. Like, so if folks have met Nina before, I mean, Nina's a girl sheep, but Nina was a lamb who was going to be killed and eaten for an Easter celebration about a year and a half ago. So, you know, we have one of our own girls like that here, though she's way down there with everybody else. Hey, Caden, how much you want to bet that in like 2 minutes after we shut the camera off, all of the sheep are going to be back here?
I can almost guarantee it, because they are actually starting to walk this direction.
Yes, they are all kind of coming back this way. Perfect. Love it. So helpful.
Sheep, they know what they're doing when they foil your best laid plans.
Yeah. But that means I got to hang out with my Christopher.
Yes.
I love my Christopher. Hey, buddy? What are you? Have I offended you?
He's like, you're running out of time, Lauren.
He's telling me I gotta get out of here.
What do we want people to do? When do we want them to come back and see us?
I don't know. This week?
Yeah.
Is it on Thursday?
Yeah.
Christopher, he's not helpful. Is it at 1 o'clock on Thursday?
It is at 1 o'clock on Thursday.
Is that at Eastern time?
We do tend to be on the East Coast.
We are, yes. Sometimes we move. Sometimes the whole sanctuary just kind of moves somewhere else. No, it does not do that. But yes, and Caden, you're going to be on. Do you want to give the folks a preview?
We are going to be talking all about making more farmed animals.
I mean, like if I was going to knit little sheep or something?
No, not quite. We're going to be talking about a special kind of farm that we often don't think of. Because a lot of farmed animals are not born on the farms that they are raised on. So we're going to be talking about step one, if you will. And some of the interesting dynamics about how we get animals to large farms and small farms alike. Because there's a common denominator that is often left out of the conversation. So
is that also possibly to people's backyards, too?
And also to people's backyards. Really, anywhere that you get a major breed of farmed animal, one of these farms, these breeding farms may come into play.
Well, all right. That sounds super interesting. So, folks, we hope we will see you again back here on our Facebook Live, or of course you can always check out the replays of any of our videos if you want to see more nonsense that Caden and I get into with the animals, because there's a fair amount of nonsense. We like to have fun, and hopefully we at least learn something too. So you can check out the archives on the YouTube page as well. Stay in touch with us, mailing list, check out our website, casanctuary.org. You'll find there all the upcoming cooking classes that Chef Linda does, and also on @AdLovester on Instagram. You can also keep up with Chef Linda over there. And now that oh my God, do you wanna come up just real quick as we close? Do you want to just show the people the sheep in the process of coming back?
There's
all kinds of little fluffy lumps coming this way.
They're still quite far away. I believe it was Janine who was saying we should just stay on, but they're going to slowly migrate over here. So we will say our goodbyes and see you on Thursday.
All right, everybody. Take care. Be safe. Miss you. Bye-bye.